So now we've got everything gridded off with the colors, make that a little easier. I've got my sticky notes, and now I'm ready to start drawing one space at a time. If it's helpful, you can take more sticky notes, more pieces of paper, and you can mark that off so that you're only focused on one space. So now I'm going to look at C1, this space here, and I can tell in this quadrant, this tiny little quarter of a square there, that about a little bit more than halfway is where that oval kind of shape ends, and it goes from here. I'm going to put a little dot there, and then right about there, and then it makes this loop. Now, I am not looking for absolute positive perfection. That's not the point. The point is to try to make it as close as possible and use this as a tool to get proportion. So my next space, I can see it almost touches the line all the way across here, and then ends right about there. Then I've got the other half of that, and it's all in this quadrant right here, this quadrant, right here. Now, I would advise be careful not to put the marker over the top of your drawing here. I'm going to show you another way of marking that, because let me show you what happens if you've got lines and then you put the marker on it. It kind of makes it kind of muddy and hard to see. So I'm going to show you another way to deal with that. So I can tell that it's about halfway here. That's correct. Gets skinnier right there, and then wider. Then in this quadrant right here, this one right here, I have a diagonal line. It doesn't quite go to this corner, almost. It goes from this corner to about there. That's all I have in that space. It's time to move on to the next space. Now this, you can highlight these because this is copied off a copy machine. So here, to help me out, I'm gonna just draw a line across here and here. Try not to get the lead from my pencil all googly and whatnot, hard to see. Because, you know, it's art, I kind of need to see that. Okay, so now I'm ready for space D1. D1, D1. Remember, if you lose your sticky notes, it's okay, be creative. Find some paper and some tape. So in this quadrant right here, I have a curved line. It goes not quite to that X right there, but close. A parallel line next to it there. And then this one ends in this corner here, and it's about the same width apart, like that. And that's it. That's all I have in that space. Next one. Now, if you're not having a hard time keeping track of where you're at, you don't have to do the yellow, but you absolutely can. So what I won't do is help students who don't follow my directions. So if you've got this and you're like, yeah, I've done this, I totally got this, Pinky, okay, cool, do it. But if you are struggling with it, please don't ask for my help until you followed my directions. Be fair, y'all, be cool. So one square at a time. I will be looking at each square as you go, so make sure that you're not cutting corners. Take your time, one square at a time. Only one square at a time. Periodically just double check and make sure you're on the correct space, because that happens. Now, while we're doing this project, we are not going to talk during class. That is just really, really a recipe for disaster, because what happens, your left brain, which is your logical brain, it's accessed when you talk. When you talk, that's when people get messed up on their drawings. That's when they lose their places. That's when they start making really silly mistakes. So we are not going to talk during this lesson. We are going to focus only on our drawings. So now I can see I'm going all the way over to I here, and G, H, I, those are all empty spaces. Now, one other thing that you could do is you could go through and map out the spaces that are empty. So I've got 2, I'm on row 2, A, B, and then part of C. So I'm going to put my sticky note here on 2C, and this one here on 2C. And I know that I've got the first full blocks, the first 2 full blocks, and half of C that have nothing in them. So I'm going to map that off there. Half of C there. Then the only line I have is this quadrant right here, and it matches up with that line in 1 and goes at a diagonal right there. That's it. That's all I got there. And then I'm going to move it on. So pencil, you have to use a pencil. This would be a nightmare doing it in pen. It'd be like doing a really hard crossword puzzle in pen. That would make me cray-cray. Even more cray-cray than I am. So I see this line up here. Make little dots to find your location. As many areas as possible. That's called plotting. So in this quadrant here, it touches right here and goes up, and then a parallel line that goes through. All right, take your time, go slow, go 1 square at a time, start in the upper left-hand corner, use a pencil, mark off your spaces so that they're lined up. All the lines that are longer on the outside of the grid, those are the lines you're going to go over, and be patient. Now, I would recommend that if you'd like to take this home, you absolutely do, because it's way easier for me personally to like just complete the whole thing in one sitting. Pretty sure that you could do this in maybe an hour and a half, just sitting down and doing it. It's the starting and stopping that confuses me. It's like, oh wait, where was I? And kind of get into a zone, kind of get like into a rhythm when you're doing this. So I personally would prefer just to take it home and finish it. And that way you could stay and watch me throw pottery, which is fun. All right, be amazing. Whoop, whoop.